Maybe you've heard the news, but the Golden Visa is alive and kicking in New Zealand. And today I'm going to talk to you about it. I'm going to overview some of the details and some insights that you might want to know if you're strongly considering the active investor visa that has just landed in New Zealand and has never been before. So here we go. Hi, I'm Tara. I moved my family of 6 from the US to New Zealand back in 2013, and I help people move to New Zealand. I have a huge, large online community that helps people move, and now I've started helping the investors move because this is a new visa option that has never existed before in New Zealand, and I'm excited to do that. I have some insight for you that I'll share right away. You don't need to wait to the end of the video, and then I'll dive into the different visa options. Here we go. Okay, so some insight that I'll share with you. Now, this is relatively new. There hasn't been a lot. I think they've had less than 200 actual applicants because it's only been a couple months. But this is some insight that I'm hearing from immigration, that I'm hearing from clients is a couple of things. Number one, this is the first time this has ever been offered, and we don't actually know how long it's going to be available. Immigration in New Zealand changes a lot. Also, there's a new government possibly coming in 2026, so you never know. So if you are strongly considering something like this, you might want to jump on it because it's never existed before and we don't know. But they could keep it for 10 years. I mean, you shouldn't feel any pressure if you're talking about millions of dollars, of course. But like, I don't know. I was like, oh, when I was talking to immigration, they were saying, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Okay. And also clients are really liking their investment options. They're very cool. They can line up with some of their beliefs and their values because they can invest in certain nonprofits or charity type things that are very meaningful to them, and it's just like a really good scheme. So let's dive in and talk about the different types. So I'm not going to give you too many crazy details. This is just going to be an overview. So you basically have the $5 million and the $10 million visa, and these are in New Zealand dollars. So the minimum amount is, the exchange rate's in your favor. If you're in the US or Europe or whatever, it's like $3 million US. Okay, and what does this give you? I'm going to look at my notes because I'm afraid that I'm going to say it wrong and then you're going to be mad at me. So basically, you invest it for 3 years. And within those 3 years, you have to enter the country with 21 days total. So that's like a week a year for 3 years or just a long holiday. And it's amazing. Like that's the only amount of time that you need to be in New Zealand. And then after those 3 years, you get permanent residency. So what you get once you start investing is you get a resident visa, which you get all access to New Zealand anyway. So a resident visa is basically the same as a permanent resident. It's just that you have a certain travel limitations, but that's about it. But you get all the benefits because that's what I used to have. So that's the 5 million, and that's what they call the growth category. The balance category is a $10 million minimum, and that's over a 5-year investment of which you have to be in the country for 105 days over the 5 years. So it's not like every year you have to be 105 days, it's over the 5 years. And then after the 5 years, you get permanent residency. So you might wonder, like, why would anybody, if you're getting the same thing in the end, like, why would anybody do the other one? Well, it's just that the investments are different. So what you're able to invest is different depending on which category you're in. So let's dive into that. Okay, so what can you actually invest in? So in the growth category, which is the $5 million visa, you can only invest in direct investments into New Zealand businesses or managed funds. But if you are in the $10 million balance category, you can do both of those, plus listed equities, bonds, approved New Zealand charities, and property. So you can do property in the 10 million. Now this can be residential property. This has to be property that you are not living in, but property that you are investing in, whether it is new residential, commercial, or industrial. So when I said the beginning part about residential, I just meant like not something that you can just go and live in. So it's an investment to developments. And so those are the two options when looking at what the investments look like. Okay, so what does the timeline look like for something like this? It's actually pretty quick, and I've experienced this with my current clients. So basically, it's a totally different process from somebody who's like going there to work on all the other pathways to get to New Zealand. So just know that that's different. And so like the structure is totally different. So I have my own page that talks with investors because all the details are different. So basically there is a big process in the beginning of gathering documents, proof of funds, and plan investments, like what you want to invest in. And then you have to apply. And to apply for this visa this visa is 27,000 New Zealand dollars. And then you submit required documents. It's saying right now that the approval takes about 4 months for 80% of the application. So, and then 6 months to transfer and invest funds once approved. And then that's basically it. You just maintain it for 3 to 5 years, and then you can apply for permanent residency. Amazing. Okay, let's talk about just a very overview of what this visa actually gives you and your family. So I'm just going to read this out. You can live, work, study in New Zealand indefinitely. You can include your partner and independent children who are age 24 and under. There is a lot of political and economic stability in New Zealand, and I can attest to that. You get access to the New Zealand, Australia markets in general. It's a high quality of life, world-class healthcare and education. There is no English language requirement on this visa, and it's an amazing pathway to permanent residency. So just note that if you are over 59, this is kind of your only route to permanent residency, because in the work category, you have to be under 59. There are some other ones, like if you want to start a business, ones that are harder and take much longer and are a lot more nuanced in order to get there. This one's quite straightforward and boom, but obviously you have to have millions of dollars to do it. So, there's that issue, right? So if you're over 59 and you want to invest in New Zealand, this is an amazing pathway to permanent residency. So if you're interested in talking with me or diving into this further, just go into the description and I will have a link to a landing page that summarizes all this to you, or you could just email me directly. I'll put that in there and we can just have a conversation, because I know everybody's situation is different. This is a lot of money. You want to make sure it's done right, and I can share my clients' experiences. And of course, you can work with whoever you want, but I just wanted to provide this information because I think it's an amazing opportunity for people to get another place of residency through investment.